Hello everyone, I am K. Sadashiva. Welcome to my channel KLR Educators. Before starting our lecture, I want to make a small announcement. We are happy to announce that from upcoming Sunday, we are going to launch a new course on modern world history. So on every Thursday, we will have a video on modern Indian history, and on every Sunday, we will have video on modern world history. So all the aspirants who are following my videos regularly, I recommend you to watch those videos too. My videos will cover everything from the basics. So those who are starting their preparation or who are planning to start their preparation now can follow my videos. So let's start with our today's lecture. So in our previous lecture, we covered everything about the British conquest of Marathas. So today we are going to discuss British conquest of Sikh and the different policies that were adopted by the British. British conquest on Sikh. The territory of Punjab was divided into small areas known as Mizils. There were 12 Mizils in the state of Punjab. Maharaja Ranjit Singh was one of the pioneer and the important rulers of the Punjab. So the territory of Punjab was divided into small areas known as Mizils. So there were 12 Mizils in the state of the Punjab. And Maharaja Ranjit Singh was one of the most important and strongest of all the rulers in the state of Punjab. He united these 12 Mizils by solving all the issues that prevailed among these Mizils. In the year 1839, after the death of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, Punjab state was weakened. So, because of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, these 12 Mizils were united with each other. He was able to solve all the issues that prevailed among these Mizils. But after his death, the Punjab state was weakened. So, this hostility of the Punjab state allowed the British to capture the territories of Punjab. So, this hostility allowed the British to capture the territories of the Punjab. So Punjab had two wars with British. So two wars were fought between the British and the Punjab. First Anglo-Sikh War. It was fought between the Sikh Empire and the British. The Sikhs got defeated by the British. After this war, Punjab was partially subjugated into the British. So in the first Anglo-Sikh War, the Sikhs got defeated in the hands of the British, and soon after that defeat, this Punjab was partially subjugated into the British. Jammu and Kashmir got separated and was made a separate princely state under the British. So Jammu and Kashmir, which was a part of the Punjab territory, now got separated and it was established as a separate princely state under the British. Treaty of Lahore was signed by the Sikh with the British. So as usual, after a war, the British used to sign a treaty, and this time they signed a Treaty of Lahore with Sikhs. Image of the first Anglo-Sikh War, which was fought between the British and the Sikhs, in which the Sikhs got defeated by the troops of the British. Second Anglo-Sikh War. In this war, when the force of British and Sikh clashed with each other, Sikhs were defeated badly and the Punjab was completely annexed into the British. So in the second Anglo-Sikh War, when the force of British and the Sikh clashed, the Sikhs got defeated badly in the hands of the British, and after the defeat, Punjab was completely annexed into the British. Lord Dalhousie, who was a Governor General of India, was known for his expansionist policy. So Lord Dalhousie, who was the Governor General of India at that time, was known for his expansionist policy. He was a person who introduced the doctrine of flaps, which went controversial, and because of this, the revolt of 1857 took place. So we are going to discuss all these things in our upcoming videos. So for now, you have to remember that Lord Dalhousie was the person who was responsible during this second Anglo-Sikh War, and he annexed the state of Punjab completely with the British. That's the reason why the Punjab was easily annexed into the British by him. So taking into account the hostile nature of the Punjab, it was easy for the British to annex the complete state of Punjab. This is the image of the second Anglo-Sikh War, in which the British troops are killing the Sikh troops and the Sikhs got defeated badly, and after which the Punjab was completely annexed into the British. Policies adopted by the British. So there were many policies that were adopted by the British. But of all the policies, the two important policies were the subsidiary alliance and the doctrine of flaps. So there was a two controversial policies that led to many battles between the British and the Indians. Main tool of the British to annex the territories of Indian states was diplomacy. So diplomacy was the main tool of the British. They waged wars only when they were not left with any other option. So whenever they felt that they were not left with any other option but just they have to go into the war, then only they used to fight. Instead, they used diplomacy to solve all the issues that were prevailing during their rule. So diplomacy was the main tool of the British, and they used to wage wars only when they felt that there is no other option left with them. So lack of unity and hostile nature of the Indian kings made it easy for the British to capture the territories. So the lack of unity and hostile nature of the Indian kings made it easy for the British to capture the territories. So this is the main reason, this is the most important and the only reason why the Britishers captured India. If we had enough unity, if we had enough coordination among the kings, then British wouldn't be able to defeat Indians and they would not have captured the territories of India. Subsidiary alliance. So subsidiary alliance was introduced by Lord Wellesley. So it was done in three stages. So stage 1. So in the stage 1, what the Britishers will do, they will first approach one of the states which was weak in terms of the military and promised it support to fight against another state. So for example, if we have two states, so one state which is weak in terms of military, another state which is strong in terms of the military. So the strong king doesn't need any kind of support, whereas the weak king definitely needs a support. That's the reason why the Britishers used to approach this weak king who was weak in terms of military. So they promised him to fight against the another state. So now they will combinedly attack the opposite state and defeat them. So now the British and the weak king will combinedly attack the another state and they will capture it. So this was the first stage of the subsidiary alliance. Second stage. So after the war, they asked their friendly state to dissolve their army as they lacked the modern techniques followed by the British. Because the British used guns and the modern artillery, where the soldiers of local army used swords and bows. Instead of giving army, they asked the friendly state to give money for training more British people and fight for them. So what these Britishers used to do, after the first war, they asked the friendly states to dissolve their army. Instead, they asked them to pay the money so that they can train the British people. The problem with the local soldiers was they were untrained in the British lines. Means the Britishers, they know how to use the gun and modern artillery, whereas the local soldiers, they were only able to handle swords and bows. That's the reason why the Britishers asked to dissolve the army and they used to pay, and they asked the king to pay money for them to train the British people and fight for them. So this was the second stage of subsidiary alliance. So you have to understand, first stage, both will combinedly attack the another state. In the second stage, the British asked to dissolve the army, and now he is training his army with the money of the Indian king. So what Indian king felt here? So it is better to give money rather than the people. So this was a mistake that was committed by our kings. So this was the second stage of subsidiary alliance. Third stage of subsidiary alliance. So British reminded the friendly king that after they fight a war and when they leave again, it will be difficult for the king to defend his kingdom. Imagine the case where the Britishers and the friendly king are fighting the war with another state. So soon after the completion of the wars, when the Britishers leave, what is the situation? Because now the king is not having any kind of army. That's the reason why the Britishers recommended this friendly king to have a standing army. So they recommended friendly Indian states to establish a standing army for their own protection. So soon after the war, when the Britishers leave, now the king will be having a standing army for his own protection. And this standing army will be trained on the British lines. Means they will be trained with the latest techniques of the British. Instead of paying money, they ask the king to grant a land and they will raise funds from it and will utilize the money in training of the standing army. So what the Britishers asked the king? So you don't pay any kind of money. So just give us a land and we will raise funds from that land. And we will utilize the money which we got from the funds in training of the standing army. and the standing army will protect you. So this was about the third stage of subsidiary alliance. As now they are controlling the army, they asked the king to allow them all the diplomatic, foreign and defense affairs. So now the Britishers asked the king to allow them to handle all the diplomatic, foreign and defense affairs. So as we are controlling the army, we will only control all the diplomatic, foreign and defense affairs. So now our Indian king accepted for this, and this was a big mistake that was committed by our king. Whenever there is a war, they will fight according to their own regulation. So from now onwards, if there is any war, as we trained our soldiers on the British lines, we will fight according to our own regulation. So this was a condition that was imposed by the British. They also asked the kings that no other European should be present except the British. So as now we are helping you, you should see that no other Europeans will be present in the country. That's the reason why the Britishers eliminated all other Europeans with the help of these native Indian kings. And they asked the kings that there should be no other Europeans present except the British. A British resident will be appointed to command the standing army. So a British resident will be appointed to command the standing army. So they will appoint a British resident who will be responsible or who will be in charge of the standing army in the kingdom. Main theme of the British was indirect control and hegemony on the Indian territories. So what was the main theme? The main theme of the British was to control the territories of India. So with the help of the subsidiary alliance, now they are indirectly controlling all the Indian territories. Native states were to surrender a territory yielding an income equal to the cost borne by the troops. So all the expenses of the troops were handled by the native states. Means the native states has to pay to maintain these troops. So this allowed the British to extort the Indian territories indirectly. So for example, imagine if a small state is having a big army. What's the condition? What's the situation? Now they can't able to bear the expenses of this army. So the Britishers used to annex these kind of small Indian territories. So the small Indian territories which were unable to pay the expenses, they got annexed into the British. So in this way, indirectly the Britishers extorted the small Indian states and they annexed the small Indian states into it. They created a fear psychosis and took advantage of the hostility between the two states. They created a kind of fear and also they took advantage of the hostility that existed between the two states. If we had unity, there was no chance that we can see British in India. In the current image, you can see one of the terms of this subsidiary alliance. According to the terms of this alliance, Indian rulers were not allowed to have their independent forces. They were to be protected by the company and had to pay for the subsidiary forces. So whatever the expenses that are needed by the subsidiary forces are to be borne by the Indian states. And if you fail to pay these expenses, the British will come and annex your territory. So you can see in the second paragraph, the Nawab of Awadh and Hyderabad were forced to give over parts of their territory as they failed to pay for the alliance. So if you fail to pay the expense of this alliance, you have to give your territories. So in this way, subsidiary alliance acted as an indirect policy to annex the Indian states. Doctrine of lapse was a direct policy, but the subsidiary alliance was an indirect policy that was adopted by the British to annex the Indian states. With this, we are concluding our today's session. Hope you understood everything about the subsidiary alliance and the British conquest of Sikhs. So in our next video, we are going to discuss Doctrine of Lapse. So if you like my video, please give a like and share these videos to your friends who are preparing for many competitive examinations. And please subscribe my channel if you haven't subscribed still now. So thanks for watching my video. Jai Hind.